Navy to be appointed as yeoman warders. Traditionally, this has not been allowed to happen because they have a history of piracy and mutiny and don't swear an oath of allegiance to the Queen. But Her Majesty has allowed them to become yeoman warders now. We have 2 from the Royal Navy. They're instantly identifiable because they're usually holding hands. It is right, actually, you should do so. The thing about the Royal Navy that you might not know, if it was not for the Royal Navy, you'd all be speaking Spanish now. That Armada thing turned out all right for it, didn't it? Obviously not for the Spanish, yeah, but yeah. Anyway, everything that we've seen so far has been designed and built just to defend this. It's known as the Norman Keep, or White Tower. It was built on the orders of a Frenchman. Oh yeah. William, Duke of Normandy, also known as William the Bastard, defeated Harold II at the Battle of Hastings on October the 14th, 1066. Yes, the birth of civilization. The French influence in England turned the English from barbaric, fiercely baby-eating Saxon savages into the refined and cultured people the English would tell you they are today. The invasion clearly didn't go as far as Scotland. However, Scotland were rather clever. Queen Matilda invited the Normans in, and this has repercussions that you can witness today. When you go to Scotland, you will see that Scotland has its own version of the pound. It is allowed to mint its own money. It is also allowed to have its own laws regarding property and ownership. And it also has its own laws regarding education. It is free to go to a Scottish university.
Dad?
Speak to any English student, they tell you where they'd rather be. Scotland. Yeah, they got it right, Scotland. Wales suffered terribly under the Normans. Wales was a proud kingdom, but after the Norman invasion, it became nothing more than a principality, a sub-nation state. It is not part of the United Kingdom. It's part of Great Britain, but it is not part of the United Kingdom. It is a principality. We have a Prince of Wales. The Queen does not rule there. Her son does. So there we go. Ireland never needed civilising. Ireland is a land of poets and beautiful, beautiful women. And Guinness. And with enough Guinness, every man's a poet. With more than enough Guinness, most women can be described as beautiful. Now, work began on this in 1078, after William had put down rebellion and insurrection just about everywhere. He rather stupidly chose this site under the approach lanes to 2 airports. Now, at this point, because I had just departed from the truth, my employers insist I tell you that there were no airports in the 11th century. Work took 20 years to complete. Now, for nearly 500 years, our kings and queens lived on the top floor. The floor below was the accommodation for their most favoured knights and their ladies. And the lowest floor with windows, that's where the kitchens were, and it's where the soldiers were billeted. There is, however, another floor. Partly below ground. The walls there are 15 feet thick. There are no windows. It's dark. We are close to the river. It is always damp and cold. Come on now, this was the perfect place for the wine. It's a palace, hello. I have told you at least twice this is not built as a prison. Pay attention. You really are. I expected better from you. Our first prisoner was a Frenchman. His name was Ranulph de Flambard, and he was the Bishop of Durham. Now, it would be madness to lock a French bishop, but in any bishop, in a wine cellar. So he was locked at the top of that turret in the year 1100. By 1101, he'd noticed a few things. Warders like to drink, and still do. So he threw them a party. He had wine brought up from the cellar in casks, which in those days were bound round with rope. You know where this is going. Warders did what they do best, got outrageously drunk and fell asleep. Ranulph de Flambard saw his moment. He removed the rope from these cast, and this ancient French bishop had sailed 90-odd feet on an improvised line and got away. Our first prisoner escaped. Did we learn from this? No. In Tower's long history, we had 3,500 prisoners, just shy of that, and 81 of them escaped, which is an escape ratio of 1 in 42. Statistically, the Tower of London is one of the least successful prisons anywhere in the world. But you are quite right. However, it was not until the turn of the 16th century that the wine rack was put to one side and another rack was installed. Now that rack has a very sinister purpose: torture. And I know some of you have got a bad idea about torture, but torture